And welcome back to another episode of the Huge Boob Corner. I am your host, Peter McLean. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been supporting the show. And if you'd like to continue to support the show, please like, share, and subscribe because it really helps. Now, today I have a very special guest, very sexy guest who's here. She's recently moved to Vegas, so it's going to be exciting to get to talk to her about that. She's also pretty new to the adult industry, so I would like you to please welcome Miss Wendy Raine.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Nice
Good.
that it's finally starting to cool off here.
No.
No?
No.
No?
No, I'm going to be freezing tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
So you're that sensitive to the temperature?
I don't like cold. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like to wear clothes. And that's the problem. When I get cold, I have to put on layers. And then I feel like I'm all
That's
suffocating.
horrible. That's so horrible. You shouldn't have to wear clothes.
I know.
But
God.
I know, cold weather.
But yeah, so if I have to put on a jacket, I get upset. But
Yeah.
I freeze. I usually stay at home.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah,
but you just moved here though.
I did.
So how long ago did you move here?
I think I finally got settled in the middle of July.
Oh, that's the height of the peak of the heat.
I was here for the 125 degrees.
Yeah. Nice.
I was here for all of that. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was different than Miami.
Yeah, I can imagine.
90 degrees. Miami 90 degrees is miserable.
Yeah. Well, the humidity is
Yes.
no. Was that one of the primary reasons you left?
No.
Okay.
No. The primary reason that I left was for my job.
Okay. And we'll get
Yeah.
into that. But you're settling in okay. It's been a
Yeah. I think that we're gonna be here for a while. So, my husband had asked me to move here many years ago,
okay.
and I told him no because there wasn't a beach here.
Yeah.
You know, and
Plenty of sand, but no beach.
yeah, exactly.
Missing
Plenty
one
of-
key
and
component.
I don't like sand. So,
Yeah.
but my previous life, was there,
Mhm.
and so it was time to branch out and leave Miami.
Okay.
Being there for 22 years. It's 2024, right?
Yes.
25 years.
Wow.
It's a long time.
Okay. But a new chapter though. That's pretty exciting
Exactly.
though, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes, it is very exciting. I'm excited to
So
be here.
new opportunities, new things, just like you're pretty new to
Yes.
the adult industry.
Yes.
So when
Yes.
did you start doing that?
I started in the November of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple of years.
Yeah.
All right. And it was during COVID or because you were in Florida, so they didn't have as much closed at the time. So
Exactly. I did some scenes for SCORE
okay.
and I enjoyed it. I was like, this is cool. I could do this every now and then or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I had my previous life and I started this one and they overlapped for a while.
Mhm.
I ended up getting an agent and they got me a bunch of scenes and everything like that. So that was good. And then I was independent for a little while and that was difficult. That was
Yeah.
hard. Yeah.
Trying to book your own work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it that the companies just didn't respond to you as much?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. And if they did respond, it was, we only work with people from agencies.
Oh.
And I get it because I have encountered a lot of, what's a nice word I can say for flaky people,
Unreliable.
Unreliable, irresponsible, whatever you want to call it, who make plans and don't show up. So I understand, the production companies, they spend money on these productions and they want somebody who's going to be reliable, and an independent, booker, an independent model doesn't have that backing.
It's a higher gamble.
Yes.
A higher risk.
Yeah.
So
So I did that for a while. I got myself some scenes though. I was lucky.
yeah.
And then I was talking to Next Level,
Mhm.
and they don't represent anybody in Florida.
Okay.
And so that was kind of the push I needed.
Mm.
Yeah.
So they're only West Coast or just Vegas?
No, Vegas and LA.
Okay. I was going to say,
Yeah.
the two.
Yeah.
So what was it then that was the initial like push where it was, had you seen Score before and you're like, oh, that seems fun? Or was it your husband? Or was it just like, what kind of made you decide like, hey, let's try this out?
So my husband and I are in the lifestyle.
Okay.
And one of the
swingers lifestyle,
yes,
right? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I know I could understand, but I'm just saying if there's viewers that were like, the lifestyle, what's...
Look it up.
Yes. Okay. All right. So you were doing that. How long were you in that lifestyle?
We started in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very.
So that's very recent.
Very slowly. Very slowly. But a single girl that we knew, she shot with them, and she thought I would be good for that, and gave them my name.
Okay.
And so that's how it started.
Nice. So you contacted them, and then
they were like, "Oh yeah, so and so said you would, be interested in doing this, and blah blah blah," and went through all the stuff that they do, before they actually hire you, and that's all she wrote.
So what was your first scene like that you did? Were you very nervous? Were you pretty comfortable? How did it go?
I had become pretty comfortable with people watching me.
That helps
because doing, being in the lifestyle, and going to clubs and resorts and things like that, you end up doing stuff and people are watching you. And I kind of get a little excited about that. I'm kind of a little bit of an exhibitionist.
Yeah. But the people on set aren't supposed to be aroused though. That's the difference. Like, that you're performing in front of people that they're just doing a job.
They're doing their job, but there's still people there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, So you want to put a performance for them. In a way.
Kind of, when you're in your bedroom, there's nobody around. There's no cameraman, there's no lighting guy, there's no walls of people standing right there looking through the glass, looking at you. It's totally different when there's even one other person in the room.
Yeah.
And you have to get used to that. And I did. I got used to it. My husband would watch me with a single guy. And that's how I started getting used to it. At first, I was very uncomfortable. Everybody was very uncomfortable.
Okay.
Because it was something that we had never done before.
Yeah.
And as we got more comfortable, I didn't care, And so the first scene that I did was kind of like an intro. This is Wendy Raine.
Yeah, they gave a little interview beforehand.
And she's, this old, and this is her first scene, and blah, blah, blah. And so it was a boy-girl scene, and it was just, kind of like, go for it.
Yeah.
After the little intro interview that we did, they were very, very nice. The male talent was extremely nice, extremely informative and helpful, and answered a whole bunch of questions. And I love him to death.
Nice.
I've worked with him many times.
That's great.
Yeah. So, he answered my questions, and actually I was able to message him.
Okay. So
and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Cause he's great. He's great. I love him to death, but, I enjoyed it. And so I thought about it. And then when they came out, cause I did 2 solos and 2 boy girls.
Okay.
And, when they came out, everybody was like, that was so good. You should do that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Why not?
Yeah. See what happens.
Exactly. Now, people are like, ooh, that sucked. I probably wouldn't be here right now. Just need a little encouragement. That's all.
Well, positive reinforcement. And can you watch yourself, or is it awkward for you to watch yourself perform?
I can watch myself.
Okay.
I don't make a habit of it.
No, I'm just saying, because depending on how you are, because I know, because you're an actor and you've had that. When you see yourself, on screen, sometimes it can be a little. You're just like, because you critique some people critique themselves a lot harder.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's how you are when you watch yourself, or if it's more like, oh, okay,
There are some scenes that I'm like, I really don't want to watch that.
Okay.
And there are some where I'm like, yeah, let's watch that again. And my husband likes it when I watch with him, and so I'll be there, maybe not exactly watching the whole time, but he's a big supporter.
Well, that's good.
So that's good. Yeah.
It must be interesting to the difference between, say, watching you doing you with somebody else in person versus you in a scene. I don't know if it's because when you're in person, maybe there's just a stronger like connection to what you're watching.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe ask him about because I don't know if it's different.
Right.
For him.
Watching me live as opposed to on camera. Yeah.
So, because I assume since you're the exhibitionist, he's more voyeuristic.
He is voyeuristic, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he likes to watch. And he's not one of those creepy ones, though. He doesn't hide behind the door or anything like that,
Yeah. Well, it's got to be different, though, because when you're in a scene, you're working with a professional as opposed to if you go to a club. I mean, hey, if they're good at what they do, cool, but not everybody's going to be as good as somebody else.
Exactly. And we've had encounters like that where it was just okay, or it was like, oh my God. So there is that wide variety that you can get out there.
Yeah.
And not everybody is going to, do it like a porn star.
Yeah.
Even though they think they can, and
so you've had a good variety of experiences in that realm.
Yeah. And I don't knock any of them. Some were just better than others.
Yeah.
So
an experience is an experience. I mean, as long as it wasn't like awful.
Well,
which hopefully you haven't had too many of those.
We've had one where we arranged to meet a couple and then they ended up getting into an argument because he, I don't know, forced her to come or whatever. And he was saying one thing to me, saying one thing to my husband, and saying a third different thing to her. And so my husband and I looked at each other and we're like, bye. We're out of here.
You need to work this out.
We went and we found somebody else, but we had been you talk online on these sites and stuff that people have. And you really don't know them until you see them.
Yeah.
And then of course, what I always say, because I do like to be naked and one of my favorite places to go is in Jamaica.
Hedonism?
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it.
I am very familiar. I think it's Hedonism 2 or Hedonism 3.
Hedonism 2.
Okay.
2. That's the only one left. But I always say that you can't hide if you're naked. You don't have that mask of clothes.
Yeah.
And wearing clothes kind of gives a person, an identity where if you're not wearing clothes, it's just you out there.
Yeah.
And you're flaunting whatever you have. And good for everybody who does that. Oh. I just killed it.
That's all right. Since you've been doing it, have you had like any kind of favorite scenes that you've done where whether it was based on who you worked with or the scenario of the scene or the company, like what would you say so far?
Well, I have enjoyed every single scene that I've done.
Okay.
I have not had any bad experiences on set. I haven't had any bad experiences, with a talent.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of firsts.
Okay.
Since I started.
Like what?
I had never been with a girl.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And so the first time that I was supposed to do it, I was nervous. And I told her flat out. And the guy that I was with the first time, he was part of the scene as well.
Okay. So he was there as support.
Right. And I was just like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I've never done this before. So I'm just going to do what I think I should do. And you tell me if I'm wrong, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously I know what to do.
Yes. You are familiar.
I am familiar with what to do. And I mean, I asked for feedback afterwards, and I had never worn a strap on before. And that scene, I really liked that scene too.
Okay.
And it was an anal.
Okay.
Which I had never, I don't do anal, but I wore the strap on. And
so you were giving it.
I was giving it. Yes.
Yes. You're bequeathing the anal.
In all its glory.
Yes.
Yep. So that was a first as well.
Okay.
And on camera, nope. In real life too, I had my first threesome with 2 guys.
Okay.
Yeah. That were solely focused on
you.
Me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And what was that like?
That was really cool.
Yeah.
I liked it. I did. It was an interesting evening in the middle of Florida summertime.
Yeah.
And
so much sweat.
Yeah, there was a lot of sweat. So one of them had picked me up and he was going to throw me to the other one, but we were so hot and sweaty that he couldn't
get a good grip.
And I'm just like, don't do that. You're going to kill me. And the other one's like, I will drop you if you do that. But the one thing I will remember forever is that there were a bunch of peacocks up in the trees.
Okay.
And I had no idea that they were that loud.
Really?
They kept making noises. So if you happen to watch this scene and you listen, you can hear the
cries of the peacock.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, it's dark. Aren't birds supposed to be asleep?
Yeah.
But yeah, I will know. I was like, oh my gosh, they're everywhere. And then of course, Florida with the bugs.
Oh,
So, but they did.
Wow.
Oh, sorry, microphone.
No, it's okay.
They did a great job of trying to keep the bugs away with all the candles and repellent and things like that. But it was a good time. It was a good time.
Just imagine the big mosquito netting around the bed, with candles around it, trying to really, not so much for atmosphere, but just to keep
the bugs
at bay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which that'll be one thing that you'll notice if you probably are, here we don't have very many. We're not very.
I know.
The dryness, they don't like it.
Well, there's also one thing out here that's lacking, and that is rain.
Yes, we do not have a lot of that.
I realized recently that I do miss the rain. Mm-hmm. I miss watching it, and I miss the smell of it. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And the sound sometimes can be really
the sound
relaxing.
Is very, very great. I love thunderstorms. My dog doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But, so good for her being out here.
Yeah.
But all the rain in Florida, has the standing water, and that's where the mosquitoes are. And so I was excited when I was like, there's no mosquitoes out there?
Mm-hmm.
I was told there are, but they're not as many. And I don't think that I've seen any yet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't need any kind of repellent. You don't need anything to try to keep them at bay. It's almost more like you see them, you're just like, oh, that's weird. Where did that come from? So
there's none of those little bugs flying around the lights at night in the parking lots.
Yeah.
You don't open your door to your house with your front porch light on and a bunch of moths fly in your house.
Nope.
That's nice.
We have had swarms in the past, though. Some years ago, we had a swarm of, I think it was crickets or grasshoppers that by the millions, they swarm the entire city.
Really?
You could see videos of and it's all lights down on the strip. So you could see them all just bunched up in all the lighting.
Oh
they were it was biblical in a way. It was like a plague that came through here.
Oh my goodness, I'll have to
try to look stuff. Yeah, Vegas swarm grasshopper.
Swarm. Oh my goodness.
So now that you're with Next Level, you figure that's going to increase your studio work, but do you do a lot of your own stuff for your own platforms?
I do, and yes, I'm hoping that it will increase my studio work a lot. Mm-hmm. There are many companies that I would love to shoot for. And I do stuff on my own as well. When I was in Florida, I had a single guy that helped me a lot. I love him to death. He's not in the industry. He's in the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So he was what we call my bull.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So he would regularly come over and take care of me.
That's nice.
Yeah. But then he would help me with films. He would film some of my solos, or he would help me with a custom video that I needed to do. Or if we would travel, because he would come with us sometimes before we lived here, we would come out here quite a bit and visit. And so we would just set up the camera and make a little video that way, and I would put it on my sites. I need to find one out here. I don't have one.
I have a feeling you will be able to find somebody to be your Vegas bull.
I've had some offers, but I haven't done any interviewing yet.
So do a job interview. You have them sit behind a desk. Be like, what are your qualifications? Do you have references?
Let me see your resume and your cover letter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
So Have you been to some of the lifestyle clubs out here?
We are actually going to, for the first time, Saturday.
Okay.
To Flirts.
Oh, I actually haven't heard of that one.
I think it's new. I think it just started. The parties just started up in October, like 2 weekends ago, I think. So I think this is the third weekend. We used to, when we came out here to visit, we would do Playhouse.
Okay.
We've been to Red Rooster.
Yeah, that's in Henderson.
And
have you been to? I think it's 5150 is another one.
Nope.
I think that's what it's called. But
and I went to the Green Door, but I did content there before it was open. But I got a great tour, and it's amazing. And so my husband and I are going to go back when it's open.
Yeah.
I get all the emails. I've signed up for everything. We're on a site, so I get a lot of emails through them too about it. But we're going to do our first one. This coming Saturday.
I was going to say, I'm curious how the lifestyle scene in Miami differs or compares to here. If it's bigger out there, if it's just different, if, obviously you haven't been here that long, so maybe you haven't.
I don't have an opinion on it yet.
Okay.
Because we've only had like 2 good experiences and a couple of not so good experiences, and we've actually never done anything out here.
Okay.
So Yeah.
So you had the years in Miami to build up that, as well as going to Jamaica and everything. So it sounds like Jamaica's your favorite place to go.
It is my favorite. I would live there if I could.
Yeah. Might be a little hard.
I don't have any clothes.
Yeah.
But you do have to wear something to eat.
Sometimes, yeah. That sounds.
Scuba dive every day. Get a nice tan everywhere.
Sounds like a nice place for retirement.
Drink some stuff, maybe something else. There's a lot to do on that island.
Yeah. Nice endorsement.
Yes.
So
you're welcome.
Well, I remember seeing that years ago on that HBO show, Real Sex. I don't know if you remember it. It was a
yeah, I remember. It
was a show that would have different segments about, sex in some way. And I remember there was one that talked about going to Negril, Jamaica and the hedonism resorts. I think 2 and 3 were still there. 3 was still there at the time. And I remember seeing that, thinking to myself, that place looks interesting. And it reminded me of that movie, Exit to Eden, which was I don't know if you remember it. It was a 90s movie with Dan Aykroyd and Rosie O'Donnell about a sex resort.
Okay.
And it actually came out 30 years ago, based on a book by Anne Rice.
Okay.
Who did the Vampire Chronicles.
Right.
But it was one of her non-vampire books that showed a different side to her.
And it got a movie.
Unfortunately, it was not a very good movie to a lot of people. I think I
remember it. Yeah.
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 So, when your leads are Dan Aykroyd and Rosie O'Donnell, might not be the best, but for that type of story.
Right.
Because they played undercover police officers going to this resort.
Was it a comedy?
It was supposed to be a comedy.
Okay, then yeah.
So, but I'm like, you could have made a little better of a casting choice for that.
There is a movie that they made at Hedo.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. I believe it's called Swingers.
Like, was it a documentary or was it a...
No, it's a movie. It's about a couple who's flying to their wedding, and they have to make an emergency landing, or they can't get there, so they land in Jamaica, and they run into this guy who's like, I know where you can stay. And he takes them to Hedo, and they don't realize that it's a swingers resort until halfway through. It is hilarious.
Okay.
It's not a good movie, but I liked it. And the reason why is because I recognize people.
You could.
I'm like, I know that person. I know that person. I know that person. And it was funny, especially if you've been there and you know what it's like and you know what the staff does and the reactions that some of the older women in the movie did was spot on, So it's a good movie. I think a lot of people don't like it and it didn't go, but
yeah. So, I was going to say, because I'm wondering because there's the 90s movie Swingers with Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn.
Right.
That's the Doug Liman movie. I don't know that might.
I don't think that's the name, but it might
has
be the
something
name.
Swinger is probably in the title somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe somebody in the comments could be able to look up the movie and put that down there.
And I don't even remember who's in it.
Hallmark of a good movie is when it's that. but it's cool that you were able to see it and identify with it. And I guess they did a job that didn't seem, I guess, very off the mark. Because a lot of times when people make movies about, especially about, say, sexual stuff, like that was the biggest, I think, gripe that people had with 50 Shades of Grey, was that the book didn't accurately portray that kind of dynamic. It was more sensationalized and put in a context that was, I get, maybe more romanticized than it actually was.
Yeah.
As if the person who wrote it was more fantasizing about that kind of a relationship without actually having been in one.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah.
Where I've never seen it or read it. So I've
only read the book. So
Okay.
I haven't seen the movie.
So-
or I've only read the first one. I haven't even read any of the other ones.
Didn't feel the need to continue.
No.
I
can.
Well, you're living the life that's more exciting probably
Exactly.
than the book.
I can do it myself. I
Yeah.
don't need help with the book. And if I want to be tied up, I just have to ask.
Yeah.
So
So do you have any upcoming content scenes that you're really excited about?
yes, as a matter of fact, I am going to Exotica in
Mhm.
New Jersey next week. And I am going to do my first BDSM content.
Oh,
Yeah.
tying it in. There you go.
Uh-huh. I
Okay.
don't know exactly what we're doing. But that's his
Specialty.
niche, his specialty. And I'm really looking forward to it. Because when I was in Florida, I really wanted to go to to the fetish parties and see what's happening and participate. And I never could go. I couldn't get somebody to come with me. And I didn't want to go by myself because that's
I
just
understand.
weird.
Yeah.
That's very weird. But I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Mhm.
And then I possibly have some foot content as well,
Okay.
which I have a lot of foot fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a guy there and we've been talking about possible content for that too. So,
Mhm.
but that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because when I was talking to Don, he was telling me that you're looking to incorporate some comedy, some acting and stuff. Or I mean, is that
Yeah. I'd love to do be able to do the feature films with the
like the parody type stuff or the
right. I was in a parody with Team Ski.
Okay.
And it was pornked. I couldn't say that on set, and I don't know why I can't say it now. But it was a parody of the MTV show Punked.
Oh yeah.
With Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
So it was funny. I was the game show announcer or whatever.
Mhm.
So I didn't have sex or anything, but I did get naked in the end.
Oh, okay.
And then I was also in their Everybody Comes Everywhere All at Once.
Haven't heard of that.
Well, it's a parody of a movie.
Yeah, everything, everywhere,
yes,
all at once. Yeah.
Yes, and I played Jamie Lee Curtis,
Okay.
the tax lady. Yeah, and I have a side-by-side picture of me and her I made. It is amazing.
Really?
Yeah, I loved that, but I see all of these other parodies and the feature films coming out with all the different companies. And that really, really interests me. I would love to delve deeper into, the comedic side and the acting side of porn, and still.
So you want more of the scripted stuff? Because there are some people that prefer the gonzo, realistic, like you're just there, you have sex.
I do that in my own, because I don't know how to write a script or set anything. Sometimes, when I get customs, they're like, oh, just, this is what I want. You can't do it silently. You have to say something. So I make stuff up as I go along. And some of the scripted scenes that I've done, the little ones, there's only certain words you have to say.
Mhm.
The rest of it,
You can improv.
yeah. The rest of it I made up, I mean,
It can almost be like an acting exercise.
Exactly. One of the ones, now I remembered it. Now I just forgot what it was, but there was a line in My Friend's Hot Mom that I did with Logan Zander, and it wasn't in the script or anything. It just popped out of my mouth in the middle of it. And then we just ran with it the whole time. So,
Okay.
But I think that the more scripted ones are very interesting.
Because you get to play some characters.
Yes. Yeah.
As opposed to, because you can be you. It's easy enough to be you, you know. So, but to be able to play like, you know, whether it's again the Jamie Lee Curtis role in that.
I mean, I'll still be Wendy. They still call me Wendy.
Yeah. But you know, you get to add some character flourishes.
Yes.
So I'm curious, are there any movies that you love that you would love to see a porn version of that hasn't been done?
Well, I don't know all the ones that have been done. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they usually stick to things like, you know, superhero movies. I
was going to say Star Wars.
Yeah, popular stuff they usually do. They're not as...
Could you imagine Indiana Jones?
Yeah. I'd be surprised if they haven't, at least in the 80s. They made one based on the Goonies in the 80s called the Poonies.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, like, there had to have been something.
Yes.
But, you know,
well, he could use his whip on me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't really thought about that.
No.
That's a very good question.
It's just, well, it's something that maybe you could, you know, ponder.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I mean, assuming it's doable, because obviously certain films might be a little harder to transcribe
in that way. Right.
So, but I kind of missed that though. I missed that the porn features that had like a play on the original's title. So it wasn't just simply like Spider-Man, not Spider-Man XXX. Like that's kind of what it became. Where instead it's like, you want it to be like Forrest Humps or something, you know, saving Ryan's privates.
Yeah,
stuff like that, where there's like, there's a little bit of cleverness in the title.
Yeah.
But and it makes me wonder the audience, because we live in such a, you know, with things like OnlyFans now, that they're so used to seeing these very, you know, amateur, real gonzo style content.
Yeah.
That to see scripted studio content, like, it makes me wonder how big of an audience there is still for that, which I'm sure it's still there.
I've been told that they don't do that kind of stuff that much anymore, but some of the studios that I follow, and some of the directors and everything like that, they're releasing, you know, little features. So it's still out there. Yeah. But I don't know how big it is, but it's interesting to me. And I would love to be in a scary movie too.
Okay. Like a mainstream horror film or a porn horror film?
Either one.
Either one?
Either one.
Do you have any favorite like horror films or franchises that, you know?
Well, I grew up on, you know, all the old ones: Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street,
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. Oh yeah, with Jason's mask. So and I've read every single Stephen King book there is.
Yeah.
So
he's got an interesting variety of his stories.
Yeah, they're not all
home runs.
Well, they're not all scary either. They're not all like It.
No.
It was a great one, but
It porn parody
with the 6
as adults.
Yes,
when they're adults.
Yeah.
So, be something to think about.
Something to think about. I was actually, when we were earlier, I was thinking about Misery.
Oh, that would be an interesting one to do, because you got the guy tied to a bed.
Yeah. And his biggest fan is right there doing everything. Oh, what else could she be doing?
Mirror the Kathy Bates coming in, instead of a sledgehammer, it's, you know, maybe a big strap on or something.
Yeah,
being like,
there you go.
This is, you know, no, you got to fix this, Paul. This doesn't work at all. So
you want a typewriter? You got to do something for me.
Well, and I'm sure that would be fun for you to play that character, the Annie Wilkes character in a
Kathy
porn
Bates.
version. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, just that freak out moment. How'd he get out of the cocky duty car? Like, you could have that whole freak out scene.
Oh my God. Yes. And I could freak out really good.
Yeah. So just gets, you know, but see, that's a great one. I don't think there's been a as far as I know, because I mean, the movie's now almost 35 years old. So
Yeah.
maybe there was back in the early 90s, but the film is kind of probably not in the same consciousness now because now all the horror stuff, like,
it's all fake.
well, it's like, there's so much of it. I feel like, there's so many horror films that come out now. They're like, we have Smile 2 coming out, I think this week, but then we had like Terrifier 3 that came out last week or 2 weeks ago. And then there's so many of them, which
I
I'm
have
sure.
no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. These are all movies. These are all horror films.
Like, what's Smile 1?
No. But, and the thing is, though, is back then, when you had certain, they still had horror movies that had, like, again, James Caan and was a big name actor, and Kathy Bates, and it was this, it was a big movie. It wasn't just let's just toss out another horror film.
It wasn't made for TV or put on immediately on Hulu or something,
Yeah.
It was in the theaters.
Yeah.
And
it was an experience to watch.
Yes. That and all the old cult movies, like Amityville horror and what's that one? The reincarnated movie.
Which
I don't know.
I
can't think of it. And The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Poltergeist. All of those.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Audrey Rose is the name of the reincarnation movie.
Oh, okay.
Audrey Rose. Yeah.
Okay. So, well, that would be fun to be able to do.
Alfred Hitchcock. I'm thinking, what is that? The Rear Window?
Yeah.
And Birds. Oh. Could you imagine?
Trying to, that Birds really doesn't lend itself to that. I feel like just because it's basically people just running from birds.
Right.
So Psycho has more potential with some real interesting.
I just thought of a good comedy, Rat Race.
Oh yeah.
And as they're going through all of the things to go find the prize, they're doing this person and they're hooking up with that one, and they're.
So there's actually I don't know if it's considered an official remake, but there was a 60s movie called It's a Mad World.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a much better film than Rat Race, but it's the same premise of a ton of people racing to get a prize. But there's a lot of great concepts to be able to adapt into scenes. It's just maybe people just don't want to put that effort into making something like that.
Yeah.
I can
see that.
Which is unfortunate because it's like there's probably a lot of fun, but you could be on you could try to revitalize that.
How? Tell me how, and I will.
Well, I'm just saying, if you can find other people that would be willing to do. I mean, again, you don't have to go to the lengths of like showing a car accident in the snow and then you like pulling, the rider from the snow. You could just start it with
what kind of cockamamie?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that?
That could be the beginning of the scene. Is you coming in, he's tied to the bed, and then it leads into the I'm going to fuck you until you get this right.
I'm your biggest fan.
Yeah, so that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
oh my gosh.
So was there a difference between the industry in Florida than here in terms of like, because now that you're here, is there more opportunities here than there were back in Miami?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Really? Okay.
Yep. I haven't been here long enough
to know.
I'm hoping that there's more opportunities. I was told that the MILF production in Florida was very limited.
Okay.
And I had done, Bang Brothers, Brazzers, Team Skeet, Reality King, all of the big ones there. Not that I couldn't do them again, which I would love to, do them again. But there's more opportunities for MILFs here in Vegas and in LA. Yeah. So I think there are more opportunities here. And I'm hoping that they pan out.
Yeah.
So I am, believe it or not, I am having a problem finding people to do content with here.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Like, is it just that you reach out to them, they don't respond, or you just don't
a little bit of everything,
or you just don't see enough that you're like, I don't really want to shoot with you.
A little bit of everything.
Okay.
And then of course you get the people who want to be in porn, reaching out. You know, the fans, I'll make a collab with you. I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not into that type. You know, I don't
Like
do
the fuck a fan type stuff.
Yeah. I don't do the fuck a fan stuff.
Which I don't even know how much that is actually true. Like they're real fans or if they're still vetted to be performers, but they're playing a fan.
Right. Yeah.
Because,
I have no idea.
I mean, and I'm sure some legit just, you know, because they'll, you know, you'll see in the scenes, they'll have masks on or their faces will be blurred out.
Yeah.
But other times you're just like, is this really a fan? Because they can perform pretty well as a fan.
You would think that, you know, if it's a true fan of an individual and they had the opportunity to fuck her, you think they're going to last for more than 20 minutes?
I don't know.
And I'm being generous.
Yeah. I mean, the excitement of actually doing it.
Exactly.
Because that's another thing is the control that you have to have over your body to not come is something that I'm sure the top pros know how to do.
Right. It's very mental.
So,
I don't think that the layperson would necessarily know how to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them do.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's also the element of that, the nervousness, because also when you meet somebody that you're almost starstruck by,
right,
you might get a little nervous because you're like, oh my God, she's right there. And I'm about to do this, but I don't want to be bad. Or like you start to get into your own head.
Or it doesn't happen because you can't perform, you know, because you're that nervous. Props to those who do. And you know, if that's what they want to do, that's great. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But
well, I'm hoping that you're able to find a good, you know, a good stable of talent to be able to draw from.
Yeah. I've done pretty well so far. I just, reaching out and going past that has been the difficult part. Trying to, you know, coordinate and trying to have people respond. Like you said, they really don't, or they do. And then they drop off the face
and then
of
they ghost you. They're like, they get to the setup point.
Exactly.
Okay. When should we do it? Nothing.
Exactly.
And you're like, hey, did you want to do this? Or were you just kind of stringing me along?
Guess you don't want to fuck me.
And that's hard to imagine. But again, people are people.
Exactly. And they all have their own lives and their own
you don't want to pass judgment.
You know? And it is what it is. If they come around and say, hey, I'm available this day, great.
Yeah.
You know, I don't hold grudges.
Well, and again, you're still pretty new here, so it seems like you have time. It's not, I hate to think that you've already exhausted the options.
No, far from it. Far from it. It's you know, trying to actually schedule and get them, you know, and have a day that both of us could do it. So
at what point did your previous life, we'll call, you know, you tend to call it, when did that drop off and now this life became the primary, like the main one? How far into after you started shooting?
2 years.
Okay.
2 years.
So a little more recently.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, it ended.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so it started in 2021.
2021.
And then how long after, say, your first scene did it turn into your full-time, you know, career, I guess?
1 year.
1 year.
1
okay.
year.
Okay.
1 year, yeah. Because it's been my only thing for 2 years now.
Okay. And was that did you decide that because, you know, the money was good or because you just enjoyed it so much and it was just it was going pretty well that you were like, hey, let's focus on this now?
I decided to end that part of my life.
Okay.
So it had nothing to do with this, based on this or anything.
Okay.
And
you were just ready for a change.
Yeah. Ready for a change. And this I was also doing. So it kind of segued into, I guess I have to make an OnlyFans. I guess I have to do this. And if I really want to do it, I got to go and do it right, you know, and try to be as good as I can be. It definitely was not the money.
Okay.
We don't make as much money as you think. You really don't.
No, and I'm not trying to like,
Yeah.
because everybody's different in terms of how,
Exactly.
sometimes people start it and it just takes off and it's like, hey, I started making enough that I could quit my other job and that's that.
Awesome.
And that's
amazing.
cool. But the fact that you made the decision because sounded like it was the right time for that kind of a change in your life.
Yes.
And it was like, hey, this is something I enjoy doing that you probably think you're pretty good at, which I'm sure I mean, again, I'm sure you don't keep doing it and you don't think you're good.
Right.
Because you probably have a lot of fans that prove that you're good at what you do.
Right.
So, it's great that you were able to have that because it sounds like it's been, a pretty positive change for you.
Yes. And it's become even more positive by the move here.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great.
Yeah. Mentally and emotionally, being here, is better for all of that. And
is it because you're around more of the industry here, or is it just because the difference of the location?
It's leaving the past.
Okay, so
leaving the previous life.
Okay, because you have no ties to that here. It's
right. Exactly.
It's like I can be who I want to be.
Exactly.
That I didn't want to be there.
And yeah. I know that sounds weird and kind of vague, but
No. Like, for instance, if you were to walk around naked in your backyard and you're like, hey, who knows me here? Or, it's like, you're not worried about that kind of stuff.
I didn't worry about that there.
Okay, fair.
It was the previous job and the previous life that had.
Okay.
That I got rid of.
Okay.
So
nice.
it's that part. So that's not out here at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
that makes you feel more free.
More stable.
Okay.
Mentally, emotionally.
You're not concerned about
exactly.
Like, oh, what if people from my job find out or what if, or not that.
And actually, yes.
Okay.
That was part of it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But now I don't care.
That helps.
Yeah. I don't care.
The I don't give a fuck.
There were circumstances beyond my control in Florida where, if it got out that what I was doing, it
mm-hmm.
could be detrimental,
damaging. Yeah.
But now
you don't worry about that.
Now the circumstances have changed.
Yeah.
So guess what I do?
Yes. Well, and again, that's wonderful that you've been able to because I'm sure that's a huge component because I've encountered different people throughout, that did adult work for a little bit, but then the moment that somebody who they didn't want to found out about it, it really messed up their life.
Yeah.
And again, like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done what they did, but it's like when you start doing stuff like that, you almost kind of have to think that, what's the worst case scenario when somebody finds out about this?
Well, I know that, like my family doesn't know.
Okay.
I have my sister and one of my brothers knows. That's it.
Okay.
The rest of my family does not. And if they do, I don't know that they know.
Yeah. It probably won't affect your decision to do it at this point.
No. The only other one that I think might know would be my other brother and possibly my nephew.
Okay.
Oh no. Just from comments, you know, and stuff.
His friends are like, man, your aunt, I saw her.
She was doing this young guy.
Yeah,
Do you think she'll do me?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you done those kinds of scenes? Where it's like, the friend of like because, obviously as a MILF, you tend to.
I did my friend's hot mom.
Yeah.
And that one was a fun scene too.
Yeah.
That was really fun. I enjoyed that. And I've been the stepmom and, all of that. I've been.
Do you like playing that role or is it?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Because I like the younger guys.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy playing that, and a lot of my fans, they call me mommy, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I played the Nana as well.
Oh, okay, going into that GILF range.
That was like my second scene ever, and I was a little bit can't think of the word. Upset is not the word I was looking for, but kind of like flustered about being called a Nana.
Okay.
I know that I'm older, and I know that,
you didn't feel like it was quite.
I'm in that GILF range, but I don't feel like I'm that. I've always felt that I feel younger than I really am.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, people couldn't believe that I was as old as I was.
Yeah.
That's changed, but I still enjoy the MILF title.
Well, I've seen performers that are in their like late 20s play the MILF role. So porn casting ages, and it's almost as weird as Hollywood can be sometimes.
When I was independent, I went through my Twitter and everything, and I made an Excel spreadsheet of all the MILFs that I could find with their PR people, if they were represented, and all of that. And I noticed the age ranges. 28.
Yeah.
How? I mean, I understand that in real life they could be a MILF.
They could
be a mother.
They could, yes.
People like
the technical term, but
you have so many other MILFs out there that are older.
That can actually play that.
So let them still be the neighbor
Younger.
next door, or the secretary, or whatever. I would have a hard time playing the secretary role, because I am an older person. So the MILF fits that, and I would like to branch out, So, but and do different MILF roles, maybe.
Well, I think one thing that's also integral to the MILF, I want to say aura, or huge boobs. That's one of the things that I feel. That's what always got me into that kind of stuff, was because so many of those performers had.
And I think that I was told one time, and I don't know if this is true, so don't get mad at me, that if they were over 30 and they had fake boobs, they were automatically put in that MILF category.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Because it's funny when I look at the AVN fan nominations for Best MILF, almost all of them have big boobs.
Yeah.
Fake boobs most likely too.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's interesting how that is that's my hardest category when I voted, because there
was also 60 of them last year.
I know. We can get into that whole thing, but I don't want to.
And I was at the bottom of the list because they did it alphabetically.
I know. And that's another thing that's really frustrating about that, is they list the nominees alphabetically.
I think that's fair though.
Yeah.
I mean,
how else would you do it?
Right.
Just randomly, based on.
And then people would think that unless every time you pull up the site, you could vote once a day, it changes the order.
Yeah, true.
That's too technical. So
do you love having huge boobs?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
These are pride and joy right here.
Yeah. So yes. And are they enhanced?
Yes, they are.
So when did you get
2004.
2004. Okay, so a long time ago.
Yep.
Still the same implants.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, those durable 20 years. Did you have a nice anniversary celebration for them?
Actually, that's in June.
Okay.
Yes, it was June 2024. I mean, June 2004 that I had it done.
Nice.
And I wasn't fat or anything, but I lost a lot of weight because I did have naturally big boobs for the longest time. Mm-hmm. And I lost the majority of the weight from there, and I didn't like the way I looked.
I definitely understand that.
So I just had them filled, and they're a little bit different. They're over the muscle. Okay. So they move
differently,
more like real boobs, if that makes any, they'll actually bounce.
Okay. Yeah.
Instead of having my whole chest go up and down, they're just bounce like that, Yeah. So it's fun.
So
people are like, hey, are those fake or real? They're really expensive.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, because sometimes depending on how they look, some people they can still, I've had people on the show that obviously they're so large and they're so fake looking. I don't know how anybody can think they're real, right? Just by the way they sit, because there are some that just don't move,
Yeah.
But so when you got them, what was your first reaction? Were you just super excited when you first saw them? Coming out?
I was excited. Yes, I was very excited. And everybody that I worked with was excited as well, because they all were jealous.
We've got huge boobs in the office.
And so when I got to work, everybody had to come touch them.
Wow.
So I'm in the bathroom, topless,
Mhm.
and they're coming in and they're touching and everything, which is fine. And then, of course, the male boss walks in. Oops.
Okay.
Oops. Quick, cover him up. Oh, we're just touching boobs. So, uh-oh.
That could be inspiration, real life inspiration. Turn that into a scene.
Yeah.
Like, be like, oh, act like they're brand new and be like, oh, did you get new boobs? Yeah, I did. And then the boss comes in. Whoa, hey, Wendy, where did those come from?
Oh, you knew I was doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a good time.
So
it was a good time.
So did it, aside from people at work wanting to touch them, were there other noticeable differences, in your life after you got them? Like, did you notice people looking at you more, or did you tend to wear like more revealing type clothes?
No, because I already did that. Okay. Revealing type clothes.
Okay.
So I don't know if people noticed me more or not. I didn't really care. I didn't.
Yeah. I was just, yeah.
So I think that the only difference was
they looked better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had to wear a bra for the longest time.
Okay.
Because I don't wear
anything.
I don't wear bras.
Yeah.
I'd really rather be naked.
Yeah. I was going to say.
But I don't wear bras unless I have to in a scene or something like that.
So what would you say your favorite thing about your boobs are? If you have one.
I like the way they look.
Okay.
Yeah. I like to play with them.
I'm sure that's a lot of people's,
Yep.
Huge boobs are pretty fun.
They are fun.
But have you ever thought about because it sounds like you've been at that same size then for a while. So you never thought about wanting to go bigger? You were fine with the size you have?
No, I'm fine with what I have. My husband would like them bigger. He says he'd like them as big as his head.
Okay.
And I say, if you want them as big as your head, get them yourself. So
yeah,
I these are fine for my body.
Mm-hmm.
It's
yeah. If they work for you, and it sounds like they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the beauty of it. Some people want larger, some people they get,
and it doesn't matter what anybody else wants.
Sure, it's what
I like
it's what
them,
you want.
So
So yeah. And do you like huge boobs on other women?
Yeah, I do.
It sounds like you're not really into that because
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
But like aesthetically,
aesthetically, they have to look semi-normal to me.
Okay.
So like the ones that are like the big, huge
massive
ones,
the basketballs.
Yeah. Good for them, but not for me.
Okay.
Would I play with them? Probably not.
Oh.
Would I play with ones that were smaller? Absolutely. If they were fake and they were
similar to yours,
solid and whatever, they could be bigger than mine, just not like basketball size, like you said.
Yeah.
I've not really ever been a bisexual person.
Okay.
But I will play with boobies.
I think boobies are universal.
Yeah.
They transcend, they transcend gender, they transcend sexuality. I think huge boobs to anybody are just like, because I imagine all the women feeling them in your office were not like, hey, I want this to go further. It was just more like, hey, let me just touch these.
See what it feels like.
Yeah.
Did it hurt? I want them done. How much did it cost?
I was going to say, do you think you influenced some people in your office?
Well, I know they all wanted them. It was the fact of not being able to afford and, all that other stuff. So, but they lived vicariously through me.
Through you. Well, I imagine Florida, especially South Florida, probably has a good plastic surgery community, because I've spoken to many women that go to a specific doctor down there who's pretty well known in the huge boob world. But I'm sure he's not the only one. I'm sure there's many.
There's others. Yeah, mine actually passed away.
Oh,
a while ago.
Okay,
he was older when I saw him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there is several of them down there that have made names for themselves.
Yeah,
in the boob industry, in the BBL industry, in all of that. So,
and that seems relatively new. The BBL stuff, boob stuff has been going on since like the
Long
60s,
time.
70s. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's really what put plastic surgery to an extent on the map.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
Well,
yeah.
because before that it was meant more, and it's great, for reconstruction, for things that were more medical
Right.
necessities. But the breast implant kind of exploded that industry with, hey, this is something cosmetic. You don't, some women need it because like in
Right.
your situation, you have kids or they get bigger and then they deflate as it were naturally. And you're like, don't like that.
Yeah. Or something happens, unfortunately. And,
Another
and you need
disease.
To
To
put one
put them
there
back in.
And yeah. So
Would you say that they're one of your most popular body parts
Yes.
from your fans? Okay.
Yes. I would say that they are my most popular body part
Okay.
from the fans. Requests all the time for
Like just boob
Boob
content.
stuff,
Like not even doesn't have to be hardcore. Just I want to see a guy like sucking on them, playing with them, oiling them.
I want, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Oil, squeeze them, spit on them,
Mhm.
play with them, dirty talk with titty stuff.
Slapping somebody's face with them.
I do that.
I'm sure.
I
That
do.
shit hurts though. I've had that happen. Like a woman, sometimes they won't know how much they can throw a punch with their boob. Like they can give a black eye. They could.
Probably could. Good thing I don't have my nipples pierced because that would
be
even
dangerous.
worse.
Oh, that would be. Ooh.
That would feel good.
Speaking of, did you lose sensitivity? Did you gain sensitivity? Did not really notice any difference?
I didn't really notice any difference.
Okay.
It was a little bit more risky in that fact because I went over the muscle instead of under the muscle.
So there's a chance that you could have.
They messed with a lot of the breast tissue. Yeah, but no, my titties are great.
Mm-hmm. Do you like them being played? Like, is that a place that on your body you love getting attention?
If you suck on it right, I will have a little teeny meeny orgasm down there. I mean, but it has to be just right.
Has to
be just right. And I've only had one person do it.
Okay.
So that's how I know.
The magic man.
The magic man. That is exactly who it was. I had a couple come close.
Okay.
Yeah. But
good effort.
But it's so funny. I'm like, they're there and I'm like, suck harder. And they just start going faster. And I'm like, no. Harder. You have no idea how many guys don't know how to suck harder.
Boob guys usually, I'd like to say, don't have that issue as much, but maybe they do.
I don't know, but it's like they're sucking faster. And I'm like, no. Slow down. And suck it like you're trying to suck ice cream through a straw.
Yeah. Trying to get the, yeah.
The Frosty?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And the straw maybe is like,
or like a really thick milkshake where it's just like, you're straining. I want you to have a stroke sucking on that thing.
Exactly.
Because you're trying so hard.
Make your eyes bloodshot by popping all the blood.
Yeah, right. It's like, okay, we'll take you to the hospital. Finish me first, and then we'll get you taken care of.
Yes. So, yeah.
All right.
I think the sensitivity is still there.
Nice. All right. Well, Wendy, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank
love
you
talking
for having me.
Hope you had a good time.
Absolutely.
I'd love to have you back.
Absolutely.
So, and to all of you out there in Huge Boob Land, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.